YNABers. My name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 7 for You Need a Budget, where we teach 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, save more money, and get out of debt. Hopefully, during the month of December, where we have all of these holidays, you're not getting into debt. I would be extremely disappointed if there were YNABers out there that were calling the holidays an exception and overspending. Think sentimental for gifts. And usually they're less expensive. So I hear. Although I have my own Christmas list, my wife has a hard time getting things for me. When you have a budget and you're operating without guilt, you end up being able to buy a lot of things for yourself throughout the year because you can justify them, and it's fun. It's fun to buy things for yourself. It's fun to buy things for your wife, for the house. And so when you're saving for something and then you buy it, it feels good versus just buying something off the cuff and feeling guilty after it. You know, this backlash of emotion that is totally negative. So yeah, my wife says I'm hard to shop for Christmas because I buy most of the things that I want, and luckily I don't want tons of things. We work through our Christmas budget. What we do is we decide the year before, after the spirit of the holidays has worn off, we look to the, what we spent and kind of think about the whole holiday and say, well, how did that go? And we've got 4 kids, one on the way in January, actually, and one more on the way. And so we're kind of worried about getting the kids too much. We want them to be grateful for what they have. We don't want them to be greedy or unappreciative. We actually have papers stuck around the house saying things like, I am grateful for food and I'm grateful for my room, to remind them. We should move the papers because no one sees them anymore. They've been there for so long. But we evaluate, how the kids react, and we try not to overspend in that regard. I'm more worried about their, what they think about just getting gifts rather than giving gifts. And we just want to make sure they understand the real spirit of the holidays. So we evaluate that, and then we decide how much we're going to spend. And then we take that lump amount. We say, okay, we'll spend this for next year. So at the end of December, or probably in January, Julie and I will sit down. We're setting up our January budget, and Christmas is a line item in January, Christmas 2012, and we'll say, okay, Christmas is going to cost us, let's say $1,200. So over 12 months, that's $100 a month. Doable. And our Christmas budget includes a Christmas party we throw for some friends, where we just have to get together. So that actually doesn't really cost much, just a little bit of food. It includes the tree. It includes any new decorations we want to get. It includes having someone come and put the lights on my house instead of having me climb around the roof doing it. I take a stand there, and though I do have life insurance, I'm not too keen on it. So that's in the budget, and I am happy for it. It's kind of like lawn care, but for the winter, basically. So that's how I kind of got off track from actually what I originally intended to talk about, but that's kind of how Christmas works. And then come time to start shopping for gifts, we basically take that lump sum and we say, okay, here it is, and then we set ourselves up a little list and basically break out that Christmas budget into a smaller budget for kids and from who and what, not everything. And it works pretty well. I wanted to answer a couple questions, maybe just one question from the Facebook post I put up on Facebook, facebook.com/IYNAB. One that really caught me was actually one of the last ones, our last two. Matt writes, interested in why the reporting functionality seems ... a little weak. More information on what I'm spending and especially overspending and especially habitually overspending will be great. And so Matt gets it. He's well aware, and that's half the battle. And then Christian also mentions curious about upcoming changes, especially to reporting. When I first launched YNAB, it was a spreadsheet and it had no reporting. And then I added a little bit, but there were so many limitations of the spreadsheet. And then we got Taylor to come along as the sole developer for YNAB. We built out what we called YNAB Pro to differentiate from YNAB the spreadsheet, and that had reporting. It was very basic reporting. It wasn't super useful, but we kind of felt like we have to put that in there because we're, a personal finance application and reporting should go in there. Everyone else does it in spades. Then YNAB 3 came along. You certainly can't take a step back and say, well, we had reporting in YNAB Pro, but we're going to pare it down. So we kind of pretty much did the same reports as in YNAB 3. They looked a little better. I still don't find them particularly useful. You want to know the honest truth? I don't use them at all in my own budgeting. When I look to the reports, I look to them as far as the design, and UI goes, and I find them lacking. I think I find them lacking on purpose, and I've never really come out and said this, but we purposely have been dragging our feet on doing any type of reporting sweeping changes. One, because it's just, we're on a zero-based budget when it comes to software features, and reporting has just always been backburnered because I find something else that's more important. And with the reports, what I've found is that people use reports to kind of get this warm fuzzy and to be able to look back and do a little bit of a post-mortem on their finances. And tell me if you've ever done this where maybe before you were using YNAB, or if you aren't using YNAB and you're hearing this podcast now for the first time, welcome. Tell me if you've ever done this where, you get it. Maybe you hit some kind of a tipping point. You decide, okay, I'm going to get things together. I'm going to get my act together with my finances. And I'm going to download some application. So you pull it down, and then you grab the last 90 days of your bank information and you import it. And then you categorize it. And then you look at those 90 days of spending and you feel, you feel a little bit happy. You kind of feel like a little, I got this done. I got my finances done. And what you did with your finances was basically just took what your bank is already giving you and grouped it into categories. It won't change your behavior at all. You'll see, oh my word, I spend a ton on restaurants. I can't believe this. You call your wife over or whatever, or the wife calls the husband over. Hey, look at all this we've spent on restaurants. It's $400 a month. We got to get that together. Oh man, yeah, that's crazy. We really do. 2 weeks later, if your whole plan is just to be looking back, you won't have changed your behavior. So where the best report in the software is the budget screen. That report tells you how much you've spent this month. If you click back, it'll tell you how much you spent last month, and click back again, it'll tell you how much you spent the month before. It's broken out by category to make things meaningful. It can tell you how much you have left to spend right now, which is the most important information you could possibly know. There are instances where people would say, well, I want to know history so I can budget better. And to a degree, that actually starts to work. For instance, I know with our van that we have, it's a limited edition Chrysler. And we've poured some pretty good repair money into that. But I know between the van that is 11 years old and the Civic that is 9 years old that we are going to be spending $150 a month on repairs. Not every month, but I just know if we stick $150 in there, it'll work. I didn't need a report to figure that out. I just over time budgeting and budgeting and budgeting again, I figured it out. It's $150 a month. And so if you're thinking, well, I do need some reports to be able to look back and help me look forward with, a little bit better information, then you could use the quick budget feature. You just click on a category for a month and it'll tell you, what your average was for that category for the last 3 months. And you can just fill it in right there like that. But again, the best information you have is the information that's current in your mind right now, looking forward, where you say, okay, what's going to happen next and how will I deal with it? I can't believe the tire just blew out. How are we going to deal with this? Knowing that what you spent on car repairs in the last year or the last decade doesn't help you if you haven't planned for your tire to blow out in a week or a month or a year. Knowing that you had to repair your roof 10 years ago does not help you pay for an air conditioner or heater in this at this time of year that goes out. What helps you there is looking forward and anticipating and being able to, just like in boxing where you can kind of get a read on somebody, any sport, you can get a read on your opponent and be able to tell which direction they're headed and then adjust and adapt and move forward. But it's, think about in sports, think about in football where someone said, okay, what are they going to do? Well, what'd they do last play? How's the offense lining up now for this play? That gives you a lot better indicator. Sure, history would show you some. You could say, well, they tend in this formation, they tend to do this. But when it comes down to it, you look at the current formation and you take current information, which completely trumps any historical information. And that's the way to operate to actually make changes in your finances. That is why reporting is, quote unquote, weak. And I'll agree with that. Let's remove those quotes. Weak. I want to get some better reports, honestly, to be able to compete a little bit better just against other software that's out there that beats us on reports, like Quicken. They have reports coming out their ears, but we also have customers coming to us in droves from them because nothing's changed for their finances, which is cool. It's very cool. So let me just kind of end, and hopefully this is a little bit shorter podcast today. I felt like the last one kind of dragged. So let me just end by saying that we'll get reporting to a place that you guys will really like it. As far as being able to drill down, pull things out, get motivated. I like the idea of being able to see like your net worth climb, over a period of time. I find motivation in that. How much you spent on toothpaste 5 years ago, I don't get so motivated there. But we do have plans with the reporting, and they're a big step forward from YNAB 3. And YNAB Pro, if any of you old-timers out there remember the jump from YNAB Pro to YNAB 3, that was just a small jump. This is a bigger jump, and I think you'll like it. I, of course, will never, ever give you a timeline on when will we release that. I'm not allowed, and I'll just leave it at that. If I give you guys timelines and we miss them, you're sad. If I don't give you timelines, we won't miss them. That's just the nature of the beast. When we promised everyone we would release YNAB 3 back a while ago, by the end of the year, it got crazy for us. It got to a point where I didn't really like how much Taylor was having to work to keep that date, when it would have been a lot easier just to release a month later. We could have had a smoother release, except we felt tied to that deadline, that arbitrary deadline. So we don't release, dates. So sorry if I can't give you a specific date to look forward to, but look forward to Christmas, or any holiday you celebrate. All right, well, that is it for our first December podcast number 7. Catch us on Twitter. I tweet from @YNAB. I also tweet personally from @Jesse Meekham, JESSEMECHAM. If you want to catch me there, it's not all YNAB related, but, if you're interested in that. And you can follow our lead developer, Taylor, @Tay, TAYTAY. And actually, let me double check that. I just want to make sure that that's the correct. I don't want to send you off to some random. Okay, it is not that one. So that would have been sad. I want to make sure I don't send you somewhere crazy. The internet has crazy people. Okay, the Tay. So twitter.com/THETAYTAY. That's Taylor. You can follow him. He's our lead developer. And he might give you little hints time and again on kind of more the dev side of YNAB. So I'll let you guys go. Have a great December. I will talk to you in a week and get to more of these questions that were posted on Facebook. If you have other questions throughout the week that you think of, shoot an email to podcast@youneedabudget.com, and I'll get that, and we'll be able to answer your question over the ether. Until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules, and you will win financially. You have not budgeted like this.